Hello friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 2025 reading journal setup. Here you see my 2024 reading journal. It's a notebook from Lila Journals with a notebook cover also from Lila Journals. And this notebook is not completely full and I still have to do any December spreads that I have, but it doesn't have enough pages left to last me for another year, so I am moving into a new notebook for 2025. I've absolutely loved using this notebook in 2024, so much so that I chose a Lila Journals notebook as my 2025 bullet journal. I've posted a video about my 2025 setup in that notebook, so if you're interested in that, head on over to my channel page and you'll find that video. I will probably do a little flip through of my 2024 reading journal once I am done using it, so please leave a comment if that's something that you're interested in. And now for my new journal. It is from Archer and Olive. This will not come as a surprise to you guys because I've been talking about the Neapolitan notebook a lot lately, and Archer and Olive brought one single design of a Neapolitan notebook back for their Black Friday sale, and I bought it. It is pretty similar actually to my 2024 notebook, so that was a little bit of a letdown. I would have liked maybe something a little bit different, but to be honest, it's the inside that's the most important, and I'm really excited for the different colored paper. Now, I had to order this directly from Archer and Olive because none of the stockists in Norway had this particular notebook in stock, and so the shipping is horrendous, so I bought two. I thought that I could give away a notebook to one of you guys as a thank you for all of your support this year, so stick around to the end of the video for more details on the giveaway. So let's start setting up this reading journal. If you don't know what a reading journal is, or if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I record the books that I read throughout the year in my reading journal. So in this video I'll be setting up some of the yearly spreads that I use to keep track of my reading goals or any fun challenges that I'm doing. And then throughout the year, every month I post a video where I talk about the books that I've read that month. So the first thing I wanted to do was to make a little cover page. Whenever I set up my yearly pages in my reading journal and in my bullet journal, I don't like to stick with one theme. So I like all the spreads to have different themes, or sometimes, like in the case of this particular setup, I have like clusters of spreads with the same theme because I like the theme so much I didn't want to just make one spread with that theme. So for the cover page, I wanted to use this washi tape from La Dolce Vita. I really love her girl stickers, and to make them appear more opaque, like so that they wouldn't be see-through in any way, because washi tape is often a little bit see-through, I glued them onto just a sheet of printer paper first and then cut out around it, and then I will just use my glue tape to stick it onto the page later. At first, I thought I wanted to use these oval frame stickers from Lila Journals to do an oval frame with an old page from a book as a background. But then I realized that maybe it was a little bit too big because the girl sticker isn't very big. So in order for her not to just kind of disappear on the spread, I decided to use a smaller frame. And I think that this was the right choice because this is a much more decorative frame and it's quite thick, so it rises a little bit from the page, but because it's the cover page, it doesn't really matter that much. For me, the cover page doesn't really have a function other than saying 2025, so that when I open it in maybe 20 years, then I immediately know that this is my reading journal for 2025. I wanted to use some of the new stationery that I got in the Notebook Therapy Lucky Bag, and so I decided that the cover page was the perfect time to start using stickers from the Lucky Bag. It came with, I think, 4 sheets of stickers and then 1 sheet of tab stickers, and one of the sticker sheets has these beautiful stained glass windows with gold details. It's really, really pretty, and I thought it went really well with the girl because she has a blue dress on and then her hair is pink, and there is quite a lot of pink in the stained glass stickers as well. I also used one of the stamps from the Lucky Bag. I did accidentally stamp it a little bit too far to the left, so it is being covered up quite a bit by the frame, but oh well. The watercolor stickers are from Mindwave, and as always, I'll be putting links to everything that I have links for in the description box below. So if you see something that you're interested in maybe getting for yourself, or you just want to know where it's from, then take a look at the description box, because I put links to everything sorted by spread, like where they appear in the video. If they appear multiple times, it will only appear on the first spread, because there is a limit to the description, like how long a description can be on videos here on YouTube, and links can be very long, so I'll only put each link once. One of the pet tape rolls that came in the Notebook Therapy Lucky Bag has all of these sparkly stars, so I added some of those for some final details. And then I could move on to the next spread, which will be my index. I like having an index in my reading journal. In my bullet journal, I kind of switch between having one and not having one. But in my reading journal, I've always had an index, and I just like having it. It feels appropriate in a book about books. So for this spread, I went with a similar theme as the cover page, because I was really enjoying the look of the Lucky Bag stickers and washi tapes together with the La Dolce Vita girls. Now, of course, an index page, and actually a lot of the spreads that I'll be setting up in this notebook will be very writing heavy. So I don't want to add too many decorations. So on this spread, I'm kind of doing decorations along the top and the bottom so that I have a lot of room to write. I was living a little bit on the edge and cutting pet tape directly on my notebook instead of using my cutting mat. I don't recommend doing this, because if you're too heavy-handed, you will cut the paper in your notebook slightly. I wasn't too worried because the paper in Archer and Olive notebooks is really thick. It's 160 GSM, so it's not like I was gonna cut through the notebook. Then I had to push really hard. But I tried to go in with a light hand. I used a new blade on my X-Acto knife as well, so it cuts through pet tape really easily. You don't really need to put much pressure on it at all. I think that the Lucky Bag theme of like fairy tale adventure is perfect for a reading journal. There are also lots of books and bookish items, themes in the collection, and the dark blue colors definitely makes it feel very wintry and mysterious. So I really like it. I really like how it looks. There's lots of windows, there's snakes, because next year is the year of the snake. There are unicorns, bows, lots of really pretty things. So I think this might actually be my favorite Lucky Bag yet. Other decoration I used on the spread was washi tape from Paper Monogatari and torn out pages from old books. I have a lot of different pages from random books from all over the world, because some of you guys send them to me as well as me buying old books in like antique stores whenever I go abroad, so that I can have them in different languages. It's really fun. As always, I had kittens helping me while I was journaling. This right here is Elfrid. A lot of you guys say that I should keep her. I am fostering a cat mom with 6 kittens at the moment, Elfrid being one of the kittens. But look, she's getting pretty big. Most of the kittens are almost 2 kilos now. The heaviest ones are 1.8 kilos and the smallest one is 1.5. So they are getting really big. But unfortunately, I can't keep any of them, so they will all go to other loving homes, and I will just keep living happily knowing that I gave them a safe and peaceful and loving home for the first few months of their lives. Because I like doing collages a lot in my reading journal, it's not as straightforward to add titles. So I am using paper from this junk journal from Notebook Therapy. And then I'm just writing out my title on this paper, cutting it out and gluing it into my notebook. This type of title is very simple. It's just bubble letters with a little bit of a drop shadow. And I really enjoyed the look of it. I make it in my bullet journal, in my reading journal. I've been doing it for the past few years for my yearly spreads. And it looks fun and playful and not so serious. Like, makes me feel like it's not as big of a deal, you know? So maybe if you struggle with worrying about making mistakes or doing something quote unquote wrong in your notebook, because I don't believe in anything being wrong in a journal like this. But if that is something that you struggle with, maybe you can try making more organic designs. Like, these letters are obviously not perfect. They look more organic and they're very simple. And so even if you do make a mistake, it's not gonna look like a mistake, if that makes sense. And then for the part of the spread that I'm actually going to be writing on, I used a brush pen from Ohuhu, a very, very pale pink color, to highlight every other line. And this way I don't have to worry about messing up the lines as I write. So it's, instead of having lines in between each line, if that makes sense, like in a lined notebook, I'm just highlighting every other line so that it's easier to find specific entries. Does that make sense? It also looks nice and filled in, even though it's going to take me at least half the year to fill in the spread, probably longer. So this way I feel like I've kind of started to use the spread, even though I haven't. Can you tell that I'm really excited to start using this notebook properly? Alright, so we're gonna move on to the next spread, which is going to be split in half, because on the left side I'm gonna have another index page, because I know from experience that one spread is not enough. So I have 1.5 spreads for my index. And then on the right side of the spread, I'm going to have my goals for 2025, just brief, simple goals. And then I'm also, and this is new this year, I'm going to have a reading tracker. I just wanted to fill this spread a bit more, because last year I did a goals page that I felt was a little bit too empty. And I had the same thing going on in my 2024 journal as well, with the index on the left side and the goals on the right side. But it felt a little bit empty, so I wanted to just fill it up a little bit more, and I figured a little daily tracker wasn't so bad. So this is like one box for each day of the year, and then I can just add a little dot or an X or something on the days that I read. It's going to be pretty hard keeping up with this, I think, because I don't check in with my reading journal every single day like I do with my bullet journal. My reading journal I check in with whenever I finish a book, you know? But it's a challenge, so it's something new to try. I mean, I have done it in previous years and been slightly unsuccessful, but I am optimistic. Because the tracker takes up a lot of space on the right side of the spread here, I wanted to do a little bit of decoration in the bottom right corner and then a little bit of decoration at the top. So I'm gonna have the reading tracker title on top of the reading tracker, and then the goals tracker to the right of it. And this way, it's like I have two columns on the spread, if that makes sense. And I did my titles the exact same way as on the previous spread, and I just sketched them out with a pencil beforehand just to get the rough size of the letters, but it's not very accurate or thought out or anything, so just very simple and fast, because doing this takes a long time because you have to cut out every single letter and then glue down every single letter. And so it is kind of a masochistic way of doing titles, to be completely honest with you. It does take a lot of time. I did speed up the footage a lot because there was a lot of cutting and a lot of gluing the titles. But let's talk a little bit about goal setting for 2025, because I will have a separate spread with kind of challenges. They're not really challenges, I guess, but we'll talk more about that later. But for my goal page, I wanted to have very concrete goals. And usually my goals are very simple, like I think last year read 40 books or 50 books was my goal. Hang on, let me check. Read 40 books was my goal for 2024. And I did reach that and passed it I don't know my exact number of books that I've read in 2024 yet because the year isn't over, but it was more than 40 books. It was a pretty, I want to say, easy goal for me to reach because I had the same goal for 2023 and I surpassed it then as well. So I don't know if that will continue, whether I'll be reading more books in 2025 than in 2024, I don't know. I do kind of feel like I'm at my limit when it comes to amount of books that I read, but I kind of by mistake roped myself into a challenge of reading 70 books. And I will get back to that in a later spread when I do my challenge spread, because it kind of happened by accident in a stupid way because I wanted to keep the spread aesthetic, and the number of squares was 70, not 50 like I initially wanted. So I'm not filling in the goals section in this video, but one of my goals will be to read 70 books in 2025. And in that I am including all kinds of books, both novels, novellas, and graphic novels, because those are the types of books that I normally read. I will also have a goal to not buy any physical books because I have a Kindle and I have an Audible account, and so I prefer to have my books on my Kindle and as audiobooks as well. And to be completely honest, I can't fit very many books in my apartment, and I don't have a goal of having a home library. I know a lot of avid readers dream of having like a home library, but I know that where I'm living right now is not where I'm going to be living forever, quote unquote. And I would rather not accumulate a bunch of physical copies of the books that I read. So that's my personal goal for 2025. Moving on to the next spread. This is going to be the anticipated releases in 2025. I did this in 2024 as well. It was the first time doing a spread like that in my reading journal, and I really liked it. It was nice to have somewhere to keep track of upcoming releases from authors that I really enjoy. So I have 6 spots here for books that I want to put in here. I don't pay that close attention to new releases. Usually they will just suddenly appear and I'll find it randomly and I'll be happy that I found it. But there are some ongoing series and some authors that I keep tabs on that I know have upcoming books that I'm really interested in reading. So that's what this spread is for. So in the squares, like in the frames, I will write the title of the book or the series if the book still doesn't have a name officially, and then the author as well, and the date that it is set to be released, or at least the intended date, because sometimes releases get pushed back for one reason or another. I wanted to decorate this spread in a kind of dark academia aesthetic, so I used these Into the Library stamps from Notebook Therapy. It's from their Hinoki line. I absolutely love them. Some old pages from books, some washi tape from Paper Monogatari, and also from my own shop. And then these frames are from Japan. I think they are from Oedo Letterpress, but I could be remembering wrong. And the way that I set up this spread is I have 6 of the frames that are kind of skewed to the left side, and then there will be some more decoration kind of on the right side. I could have done it symmetrical with like 4 frames on each side, but I wanted to leave some room for decorations just to make it a little bit more exciting, because a lot of the spreads that I'm setting up in my reading journal as these yearly spreads have very limited decoration, or like most of the decoration is just kind of around the spread. So I wanted this one to be a little bit different, and I do think that the asymmetric look is really nice and just changes it up a little bit. I had actually received a package from Paper Monogatari, I think the day before I set up these spreads, and she sent me a bunch of her new like dark academia stickers and washi paper and washi tape and everything. So I was really excited to use everything in this setup. And at first I thought that maybe I should do all of the spreads in this dark academia aesthetic because it is a reading journal. It is very fitting. It would be very on brand for a reading journal. But I do think that the thing that's so great about my reading journal is the different kinds of themes. And I do talk about this in pretty much every reading journal video that I make, but I don't want my reading journal to be a place where there are rules. I want it to be very free. I want it to be very I don't want to say impulsive, but spontaneous. I want it to be spontaneous. I want to use lots of stationery that I maybe don't use in my bullet journal, because in my bullet journal I have very strict monthly themes. And that is, out of necessity, because I like that. I like to have that structure with like each month being its own thing. But in my reading journal, I don't have that need. So that's part of the reason why I love doing just different themes on every spread in my reading journal. But like I did mention before, I only used a couple of different themes for the yearly spreads simply because I use stationery that I really, really like, and I wanted to use them for more than just quote unquote one spread. So far, I've put 3 books in here already. One of them is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. It comes out in August, hopefully. I have read all of her books, so I want to read this one as well. I have no idea what it's about, but that's how I like it. So I intentionally don't look up what these books are about because I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. No spoilers. Nothing. The people who write the blurbs, whether it's the authors or the editors or whoever, don't always do a good job of writing spoiler-free blurbs. It's the same with people who make movie trailers. Sometimes they just spoil way too much. And I would have enjoyed the book a lot more if I didn't know anything. Anyway, the second book I have written down here is the second book of the Amina al-Sirafi series by Shannon Chakraborty. I read the first one in 2024. I really enjoyed it. It was such a fun read, and I noticed that there was a listing for the second book set to release on the 25th of September in 2025. The listing was on a Norwegian bookstore, so I hope it's correct. Anyway, I wrote it down. It doesn't have a title yet, so I'm very excited for that one. September is a long way away, but I'll survive, I suppose. And then one earlier release is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, which is the third book in the Fourth Wing series, the Empyrean series. I have a complicated relationship with Fourth Wing because there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, but there were other parts that I didn't enjoy very much. But overall, I do want to know what happens, and I love books with dragons, so I will definitely read the third book as well. If you watched my reading journal setups from previous years, like last year's, the year before, I have made yearly setup videos, I think since 2021 or something. I am changing up the order of the spreads a little bit this time. I'm not sure if that's really necessary, but it just felt right this time, I guess. So next I would have normally gone for the books I read this year spread, but I'm making my TBR list instead, and I am changing it up just slightly from last year so that it can hold more books, because my TBR list just filled up in 2024 and I didn't have anywhere to put more books, and I wanted to just have everything contained onto 2 spreads. I'm making 2 spreads because there are many books that I would like to read, and there are many books that just appear online for me that I want to write down so that I remember, because sometimes I just, take screenshots and then forget all about it, or save a video on TikTok and then forget all about it. So this is going to be a very simple list, and I'm just writing down the title of the book and the author, and then ideally whenever I pick up a new book that I want to read, it is taken from the TBR list. But in practice, I'm a very, again, this word, spontaneous reader. Intuitive reader? I don't know, but I will just kind of randomly get a book to read. But I do want to pick more books off of my TBR list this year. I mean, in 2024, I did read quite a few books on my TBR, but I want to read more in 2025, because these were books that I, at some point in the past couple of years, I wanted to read and then I just kind of forgot, or just other books came first in line, I guess. But I want to give these books a chance. And I think since I put them on the TBR list in the first place, I will enjoy them. A lot of them are actually recommendations from you guys, because whenever you write a recommendation in a comment on YouTube on my reading journal videos, a lot of the times they end up on my TBR list. I think it's the curse of anyone who keeps a TBR list, which, by the way, is a list of books you want to read, if that wasn't clear, is that it just fills up. You know, you never get through it. You just add more books to it than you can possibly read in 1 year, and then it just keeps going. Like I said, I am setting up 2 spreads to hold my TBR list, and because, like in 2024, my TBR list, each book took up 2 lines, but on this one they only take up 1, so technically I can now fit double as many books as I did last year, and I did 2 spreads last year as well, so not much is changing except for just having more books on each spread. I'm using a Crayola marker to kind of highlight every other line, because without any lines it will be a lot harder to read on the page, but I also didn't want to make a line with a fine liner between every single line, because that would look kind of harsh and not as nice. So I think that this option is a lot nicer, and I mean I did the same on my index. It's just a very subtle way to make it easier to read what is on the page. I didn't talk about the decoration at all on the previous spread, but I did decorate the spread in a very similar manner, so they look almost exactly the same. The only thing that's different is that on this spread I'm writing TBR list continued, while on the previous one it just says TBR list. I just wanted to make it feel like it's the same spread basically, even though there are 2 separate ones. And the bookshelf stickers that I placed kind of on the bottom of both pages, those are stickers from Marigona Suli. She has this sticker sheet with the 4 bookshelves on there, and they are so pretty, and I was a little bit sad to be using an entire sticker sheet just like that, but there are only 4 stickers on there, so it's really not as big of a deal as it seems in my head. I think that they were perfect because it's kind of a nod to some of the TBR lists that we see on Pinterest and on Instagram, where people draw these bookshelves on the entire spread, and then they draw the little books and they write the titles on the books in those spreads. I always thought those spreads looked so pretty, but just not very functional, for me at least. For some people they might be, but for me that just never seemed to work. I preferred the list. But yeah, the stickers are kind of a little nod to that. So now we can move on to the next spread, which is going to be the books I read in 2025. This is another 2-in-1 spreads. Well, I'm making 2 spreads for the same thing. And here I have learned a little bit from last year, because last year, 2024, the space allocated for the books wasn't perfectly measured. So some places there was a lot more room than I needed, and other places there was less room. And another thing that I did was I put a lot of decoration that was kind of encroaching onto the inner rectangle, which meant that the books either covered up a lot of decoration, or I just didn't glue any books in right there to not cover up the decoration. But if what I'm saying right now is a little bit confusing, it's probably because you haven't seen the 2024 spread. But basically what I do here on this page is I print out the book covers of the books that I read this year, and I glue them in here. And every year I get a lot of questions about where I get the book stickers from, but they are not stickers. I didn't buy them. I just saved the images from the internet, put them into Pages or Word, and I just format them so that they are 2 centimeters wide, which will be 4 squares in the dot grid, and that way they look nice next to each other here. They will differ a little bit in height because some book covers for some reason are longer than others. At least the pictures are. But overall, they look quite nice and uniform on the spread. And I post pictures of the full spreads on Instagram, and I will also probably do a flip through of my 2024 journal now that I'm thinking about it, so that you can see exactly how it looked in the end. I'm using a lot of washi tape here from my own store, ikigaipapir.com. I did recently restock the Beautiful Story washi tapes, so if you haven't been able to get those yet, now is the perfect time. I'm also using paper and washi tape and stickers from Paper Monogatari, and also some from the Hinoki Into the Library pet tape. Just a lot of pretty dark academia stickers and pet tapes. I promise the rest of the spreads will not all be dark academia themed, but like one or two more will be. I am doing the same title as I have on the other spreads. It just works so well. And here you can see a little bit of what this spread will look like once it's filled in. I love it. I really do. These notebooks were both put out as decoy journals so that the kittens would have another journal to sit on, so that they wouldn't just sit on the journal I was working on. You can also see how chunky my 2024 reading journal is. You can't even see the gold gilded edges very well anymore because the pages are just so far apart from each other now because of everything that I've glued in, and I will not stop. This year will be the same. I will be gluing lots of things into this reading journal. I mean, I already am. I could not be making these titles and gluing them in without my glue stick and my tweezers. I use these tweezers a lot for stickers. They are so convenient, but they are so great for when I need to glue these small pieces of paper as well, because then I don't have to get glue all over my fingers. Of course, one of these spreads isn't enough. I need two, at least. Well, in 2024, I think I've almost filled up 2 spreads. So yeah, 1 is not enough. I need 2. And that puts us right in between these 2 signatures, which means that one side has white paper and the other side has craft paper. Because this notebook, it has white, craft, black, white, craft, black, again and again, until the end of the notebook. And I'm so excited. I think my favorite pages are the ones that are craft on one side and black on the other, because those are so challenging and the result is always so interesting. So I'm really looking forward to those. I don't think it will happen in January, but maybe in February. So for this spread, I'm going with the exact same layout, same type of decorations, but I used this dark academia washi tape from Paper Monogatari because it is so wide, so it covers a lot of like a bigger area, but there are so many small details on it, so it doesn't look like it's just like one big slab of tape, you know? And here you see why I can't have nice things, because they will get eaten by a kitten. And speaking of the kittens, they're all doing parkour all over my living room right now, so any sounds that you hear are them just jumping and running around everywhere. One of the reasons why I love this notebook is, well, of course, the different papers, but also the chance to use more like white papers and white stationery that will layer so well on the craft and on the black paper. And on this particular spread, I wanted to take advantage of the white and the craft, and so I decided to put some craft ephemera on the left side on the white page and then use some white paper on the right side that has the craft paper. And this way I think that it links them together a little bit more, because sometimes when each page is like a different color, it's easy for the spread to feel a little bit split in half. So I wanted to make it feel cohesive, and I wanted it to feel like one spread, even though the pages have different colored paper. I'm going to have to challenge myself many times this year, I think, with all the different color combinations and everything, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think that it will be really fun, and the joy that I feel setting up this notebook is just unmatched. I'm so excited for this. It feels a little bit like, well, I feel like it has the same energy as the previous Neapolitan notebook that I used, and that year was like such a fun year for me reading journal wise. It brings back a lot of memories, and so it feels nostalgic but really exciting as well at the same time to be starting this notebook, and I'm really excited. I think that some of my favorite spreads of all time were made in a Neapolitan notebook, so yeah, I don't think I can even express how excited I am for this. Putting you out of your misery and not showing you the cutting and gluing of the title for the spread, and here are the two spreads together, all ready for 2025. So now we can move on to the next spread, which will be a new type of spread for me. I've never made something like this before. I mentioned something about challenges earlier, and I think, this year is going to be a little bit different. Last year I had a genre challenge. I did not succeed. I still have several genres I haven't even touched upon in 2024. So in 2025, I am doing a bingo card instead. So I'm setting up this spread with all of these squares, and they are going to be my bingo cards. I'm going to have one thing in each of these, and there are quite a lot of them because I wanted to make a big bingo card. So I'm gonna need you guys' help to fill in all of them because I'm having a bit of a hard time to come up with tasks or challenges for each section. I've been trying to look at reading journal or like book bingo cards online, but I don't want to copy one exact, I want to make it kind of my own. And so yes, there will be some like read a whole fantasy series or something, because I know that I'm gonna do that. So I don't want to make it too difficult for myself, but I want it to be like a fun little bingo card that kind of shows my personality as a reader, or like the way that I read, if that makes sense. So not really a challenge in the sense that I don't want to put things on here that are going to be hard to achieve, but something a little bit fun. I decorated this page with some frame stickers. These are also from the Into the Library Hinoki set from Notebook Therapy. The set comes with stamps, pet tapes, and stickers, and I really like the look of the frame stickers. They are very like academia. But as you can see, the bingo section is not covering the entire spread, and that is because I wanted to also have some other things on the spread. I wanted this to be kind of like a challenge dashboard for 2025 instead of being just one thing. It's not that I'm lacking in pages. I could have easily made this into two spreads and I would still be fine on pages. I don't think I'm going to fill up this notebook even in 2025. But it was a little bit easier to have it all on one spread, and it makes me feel like it will be easier for me to open up the spread and kind of check it, I guess, regularly. So I made the book bingo title the same way as before. And then I also used these girl stickers from Notebook Therapy from the same sticker set, because there are all these girls reading, and I was a little bit worried that the color wouldn't show up well on craft paper, but it really does. They are very opaque, not see-through at all. So yeah, they look really nice on this paper. I used a stamp from the Lucky Bag from Notebook Therapy this year to mark the middle of the bingo card, because isn't that a thing? Like on most bingo cards, the middle one is already marked. So now all I need to do is fill in all the other ones, and that's what I need your help for. So let me know in the comments if you have any ideas, and then I can fill it in and I will show you what it looks like at the beginning of 2025. Maybe we can have a look at it every now and then in my monthly reading journal video so we can see how we're getting along, because I haven't really been sharing much of my challenges in 2024. So I want to do a more of like a full check-in with my yearly spreads as well in every monthly video in 2025. Now, I did mention before this thing about 70 books. Basically, I wanted to fill the rest of the spread with something similar to the book bingo, or like something challenge-esque. So I have 2 sections here, and the bottom one, it was just leftover paper from the paper I used for the book bingo pieces, and it has 70 squares. And so it just made sense to make it a 70 books challenge, and then I can just like cross off each frame, like each square, when I read a book. I don't think I'll be able to read 70 books because that's a lot of books. That's more than 1 book a week, and that is a lot more than I would normally read. But you know, it is what it is now. It was an aesthetic choice because it just fit perfectly here in the corner. So yeah, I'll just have to live with that. And then the top section, you can see that I've written book club. That is because I have a Patreon and we have a Discord server that is only for patrons. And in this Discord, we have a book club. And I don't always read the books that are in the book club, but there is a monthly meeting, like a voice call about the books, and everyone shares their thoughts on the book throughout the month. And we have some really, really great moderators who take care of the book club, and it's a really, really great like user-driven thing, and I want to participate a bit more in it this year. So that's why I made a section for the book club. So here I can write down the books that we are reading in the book club, and then I will just kind of have them all in one place in my journal. But I am not talking fast enough, I guess. We are already on the last spread that I am making in my reading journal before the monthly spreads start coming in. And this will be a spread that I made in 2024 as well. It is like a yearly statistics page, kind of. It's nothing fancy really, it's very simple. This one is going to look exactly the same as the 2024 version, except that I'm just using different floral pet tapes for the background. This is a kind of rose and, I don't know, peonies? Not peonies. It's a different kind of flower on a glossy pet tape. This one is from the washi tape shop. It's really pretty, and I'm just using my X-Acto knife and my cutting mat to cut out the flowers as well as I can, and then I'm gluing them down around the edges of the spread, cutting off the excess with scissors afterwards. And this way I'm just creating this floral border around the spread. And then I have white strips of paper for each month. These will be where I write down how many physical or ebooks that I read, how many audiobooks I read each month, and then how many books in total. So not very fancy, nothing particularly difficult to fill in. Oh, but actually it's not how many books necessarily. It's like how many pages and how many hours I've listened to audiobooks. So how many pages I've read of physical and ebooks, and then how many hours I've listened to audiobooks, because I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. I think that everyone needs to find a way to read that works for them. I'm firmly against people who think that listening to audiobooks isn't reading, because it really is the same thing. It's just more accessible to some people. And for me, audiobooks are more accessible a lot of the time because I don't have that much free time. And so I can listen to audiobooks when I cook, do dishes, when I clean, when I'm going to sleep. I love falling asleep to audiobooks. When I'm at the gym, I like listening to audiobooks instead of music. Or when I'm going somewhere, like when I'm on public transport, I think that the noise is often a lot, and I have noise cancelling headphones, so I'll just often put on an audiobook and be in my own world for a while on the tram or the bus or something. And it's really nice. And then when I do have the time to sit down and read on my Kindle, then I will do that. I don't know. It's not like anyone has told me personally before that listening to audiobooks isn't the same as reading, but I have seen other people being told that online, and it just makes me disappointed, I guess, in the reading community when someone says that, because what you consider reading for yourself personally, that's up to you. If you don't want to consider audiobooks reading, then that's fine. But like telling someone else what they should or shouldn't consider reading is just dumb, I think. In general, I live by a law called kardemommeloven in Norwegian. It is a law from a fictional town in a children's story here in Norway. Well-loved, beloved story. And the law says man skal ikke plage andre, man skal være grei og snill, og for øvrig kan man gjøre hva man vil. And that means you should not bother other people or like pick on other people. You should be kind and nice. And other than that, you can do whatever you like. And I think that, we should just be nice to each other and leave each other alone and not be so invested in everyone else's business, because most of the time it doesn't concern us. If it's not harming anyone else, it's fine. Yeah, that's my little life philosophy. I really like how the spread turned out. I like the white pieces of paper. They really stand out against the craft paper background. And I think that the florals were really nice as well. I haven't actually used this pet tape before. I bought it because I thought maybe I would use it in my October setup in my bullet journal. If you can remember, I did a kind of gothic Lolita theme there, but then I used a different pet tape with black roses, which arguably fit a lot better. That's why I chose that one, because this one was a little bit too red. I wanted it to be more black with pink details back then. So I'm glad I was able to use it here, because I think that it is very nice. And I'm just using a brown fine liner to make little frames and just split each section into 3. So leftmost section is amount of books, and then the middle section is pages read, and then the rightmost section is hours listened. And then I also, of course, made a title. I also used little monthly headers for each month, because I wasn't sure how to mark each month. There wasn't very much room in between each section, but these stickers are so small and simple that they worked really well. They are washi stickers, so they have a slight white background, but not too noticeable. They look almost invisible on white paper, so I mean that's kind of what they were made for, but I think they look fine on the craft paper as well. So while I'm finishing up this spread, I want to tell you about the giveaway that is in this video. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I got 2 of these notebooks when I bought them from Archer and Olive, and I want to gift one of them to you. Kind of as a thank you for all of your support this year. 2024 has been a year. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who have been watching my videos, whether this is the first one or if you've been with me since the beginning of the year or even earlier. So I'm giving away one notebook that is exactly the same as the one you've seen me use in this video. It is still shrink wrapped and everything. I will also throw in some stickers from my shop from Ikigai Papir, some unreleased stickers actually that are coming out early January. And all you need to do to join the giveaway is to be a subscriber, like this video, and write a comment. So all comments on this video that contain words and not just emojis will be counted. I will pick a winner early in January, 2 weeks from the publication date of this video. The exact date and time will be in the description box below. And if you have any questions, just write a comment and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I read all the comments I get on my YouTube videos, even though I'm not always able to respond. If you watched this video all the way to the end, be sure to put any kind of book emoji or like reading adjacent emoji in your comment to let me know. And now let's take a look at all of the spreads that I've set up in this video, all of the yearly spreads that I've made in my reading journal. I hope you are as excited as I am about this new year and new reading journal. And I'm really happy with the spreads that I set up for this. I have to say it again. I'm so excited for this new year. I am excited for a new opportunity to fill a notebook like this. It's so much fun. And I hope that you have had a good 2024 reading year and looking forward to your 2025 reading year. If there are any books that you really loved in 2024 that you want to tell me about, then put those in the comments. I will add them to my TBR list if I think that they are something that I would like. I'm always really happy to get book recommendations because there's no way I can know about all books, you know? So I'm sure there are lots of books that I've never heard of that I should give a chance because they would be perfect for me. And if you want to hear more about the books that I've been reading this year, then I've posted videos every month this year and last year about the books that I've been reading every month, and there are a lot of fun spreads. A lot of fun books and spreads and talks. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And if you're watching this video in January or February, March, April, anytime during the year, and you felt inspired to make your own reading journal, but you're sad it's not December, then let me tell you that you can start a reading journal at any point throughout the year. I've been starting reading journals in November, in September, anytime. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is to start, and then you can make however few or many spreads as you want. You can try it out, and then come the end of 2025, you can set up a whole new notebook for 2026 if you'd like. There are honestly no rules to journaling, and January is not the only time to start a new journal. I know it might seem that way because me and everyone else who make videos about journals on YouTube set up new journals for January, but I guarantee you that a lot of us do that because this is the time of year where videos like this get the most views. My video is a little bit late, so I don't have very high hopes for it, but it is a video I would have been making anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I love my new journal, and yeah, so excited again. And I hope that you're excited about your own journal as well. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to join my Patreon, there are links in the description box, also to my shop, also to the stationery that you saw me use in this video. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!